What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the fifth album by rock band Smash Mouth. Basically, this product is called The Gift of Rock, and it came out somewhere in 2005. Now, I'm assuming it probably came out in the holiday season of 2005, October, November 2005, somewhere around there as far as those pitches going to happen. But it was actually re-released in 2012 as far as those pitches going to happen. It replaced the original song Baggage. The 2012 reissue replaced the original song Baggage claimed by Smash Mouth as far as those pitches going to happen with the new song, or with another cover song, which was 2000 Miles. So I basically recommend the 2005 edition with the original Smash Mouth song over the 2012 edition, but I don't know how easily the 2005 is. I don't know how easy the 2005 edition is to track down nowadays, I'd have to say. It's just kind of the concept. I would try to snag up this 2005 edition sooner than 2012. There's just more hits on there. I'd have to say not by much, but still enough to be able to say it's worth it. So the thing about this particular project is it's a holiday album from Smash Mouth, but it just does not have like an entirely emphasized type feeling of like the Xmas or Christmas season as far as those pitches kind of happen. I feel like it's basically just like a Smash Mouth album with just like some Christmas flavor that's probably about maybe 25, 35, 45% sprinkled in more so than like an actual holiday. I mean, I just feel like the Christmas songs they chose on here compared to like the Justin Bieber or other albums like that, some of those type ones that did more holiday type covers within the pitch. It's just, I mean, I realized that a rock album doing Christmas covers would have a certain concept about it just within the tone behind it, but it just kind of feels like if you like Smash Mouth's restaurant type music, something like Come On, or Can't Get Enough of You Baby, some of those type of hits, The Fawn, some of those type of ones, Why Can't We Be Friends, some of those more holiday jostles, or some of those more jostles for like restaurant type fare, going to like Olive Garden, TGI Fridays, some of those type places that has to say within the tone. That's basically what this album is. Not really like a very like ambient kind of album. I would say just has a little bit more jive and just electricity spark towards it as far as those pitches going to have with it. Just a little bit more lively. I mean, it does have some of that holiday bustle in here when you think of like the holiday jam, traffic jam typeness of like Black Friday and just the holiday kind of pandemonium that goes along with it. That's one of those type albums that kind of has that. But I look after it. It's not a super melodic. There's not really like a mammoth kind of song on here. And I feel like without the original song Baggage Claim, which I think might have been released as a single back in 2005, for the most part, these songs are just, they don't really have like, I mean, there are some decent ones in here to be able to say, and this is going to get a relatively good score, but it's just kind of the concept. I feel like some of the Christmas songs chosen were just kind of not the most emphasized ones for like the holiday season in terms of some of that. I mean, it works to what it is, just being able to have like not being namby-pamby soft, like, you know, something Mariah Carey or Ariana Grande would do, just some more kind of effeminate type pitch within it, but it just doesn't really have as much kind of like when you think of like it basically feels like these are original songs by Smash Mouth because a lot of these just don't feel as commonplace in terms of like the holiday. I mean, I don't know the full bound extent of how many Christmas songs and holiday songs are kind of out there, but some of these type ones are just probably not within like the top 20 or 30 ones you're going to hear in like a regular fashion. I'd have to say, but it's just kind of the tone behind it. I look after it's a solid enough project, but it's just kind of the concept. It's just kind of off the wayside and almost kind of alternative, like in a vanilla rock sense. I feel like Smash Mouth is at least still vanilla rock like they typically are, but like I was saying, this is probably going to feel like this whole album is just songs that Smash Mouth themselves kind of did more so than the fact that these being cover songs. So it's just within the pitch behind it. But unfortunately, there's just not really like a song on here that stands out like the appeal. When I look after the popularity on Spotify, the concept behind it is none of these songs really got a million plays or anything close to it. I mean, some of these got to like 200,000, 150,000. Most popular song, which is Father Christmas, got to 370,000, but it's just not within the concept of anything that's really that anchored in terms of like the overall hit potential compared. I mean, this was a good look for Smash Mouth after like a series of hit albums between like 97 and 2001. Plus, they dropped that pretty quality greatest hits that had some extra hits on there. Get the picture from 2003 didn't do that terrific, but this was like another grab to kind of get like some spotlight back as far as this pitch can happen. But I don't want to say it's full blown underwhelming, but it's just kind of within the pitch. I would have figured that they would have had something to anchor this product with a little bit more mammoth type appeal than like the comparison with what happened with this. It's kind of like I feel like it's serviceable, but it's not like a knockout punch, something that's just like the way Smash Mouth was. It's just not red hot Smash Mouth like they were in 1999 or 2001, which is just kind of ton. They just, I don't say they feel beleaguered, but it just kind of feels more of just like glancing blows, just without like the finishing punch or something like that. But yeah, so I would definitely feel like the single might as well be the original song off this project, which is Baggage Claim. So I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about that one. So once again, Baggage Claim is only on the 2005 edition, so definitely worth it just because this is the only real original Smash Mouth song that they did off this project. But I feel like enough of this just has the popularity to be able to say that most of these just feel like Smash Mouth songs just entirety. But Baggage Claim is definitely one that has that original type flavor of it, and it's just an excellent type one. This is probably one of the best songs off the album. I'd say just that sort of appeal. It's like a paced kind of holiday chaos. Baggage Claim is like a paced kind of holiday chaos with like a work shift kind of evening dredge about it. I'd have to say about this one, just a workaday kind of radio jingle to kind of get here, and just an SFW bop to kind of have. So it's just within the pitch. It's some of that standard evening dredge. It is 4 o'clock p.m., 5:30 p.m. type dredge. It just got done with work shift. Just something to kind of hear just on the ride home, pitches like that. Just that standard kind of typical makeshift bustle. I'd have to say just within the tone. I mean, it's kind of factory just within the tone. It's vanilla rock within a sense. Smash Mouth kind of, I don't want to say they phoned it in, but just kind of feels like just kind of feels within the concept. It just feels like a little bit lackadaisical in the energy compared. This is like that standard kind of disc malaise. I'd have to say this very much like the standard dredge of disc, like what goes along with something you expect from like Third Eye Blind or like Marcy Playground, some of those type folks, Tonic, some of those type folks out of like the late 90s, early 2000s, some of those folks in particular. It's typical. I mean, it's a factory kind of Smash Mouth single as far as those pitches kind of happen, but I think it's actually pretty affable. It's a good pitch to kind of get like a Christmassy kind of Smash Mouth song. It's a clever concept just within that tone, but it's too bad that possibly the song didn't chart. Probably would have been a nice serviceable one to kind of get here, but it did, obviously compared. I just think the tone of the song and just the overall this kind of drifting through it just makes it not as addictive as like I'm a Believer or like I'm a Believer, Can't Get Enough You Baby, or All Star, like Then the Morning Comes, some of those type pitches. But it is some excellent type fare. Yeah, out of the 10 songs on this particular album, also including like the other song 2000 Miles as far as those pitches kind of happen, I wound up recommending 6 songs in the 2012 edition and 7 songs in the 2010 edition. So Baggage Claim is the 7th song that I recommend on the 2005 edition. So the 4 songs I don't recommend on either edition, if you count all 11 songs, would be basically Don't Believe in Christmas, That You Santa Claus, Snoopy's Christmas, and like Snoopy's Christmas, and then 2000 Miles. So just talk about those. Basically, most of these just kind of have like that bustle. Like a lot of these, like I just feel like I feel like Don't Believe in Christmas and That I feel like Don't Believe in Christmas and That You Santa Claus are just kind of more of ones that just kind of have like that standard. These are just songs that have like that standard kind of up tempo kind of bustle, which I feel like Smash Mouth just didn't really deliver on this particular album. It's just kind of the concept. I just think the emphasis behind it just need a little bit something, little bit less kind of like abrupt and kind of more, just needs something a little bit less abrupt and kind of brash, and just overall pitches like that this kind of had more this kind of gnarledness to it. I'd have to say not necessarily gnarled, but just kind of the concept that this was not the correct mood setting for like the holiday fair as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just needed a little bit something more of like songs like something like I think would have been an excellent fare for this particular album, which I'm surprised they didn't do. Is just something a little bit more. I mean, this would have been a good time to have gotten some over the top type songs like I'm a Believer, some of those type pitches, or even a song like Then the Morning Comes. I think that sort of tone that they did with that song from 1999, something like that. It just felt like the songs that they were aiming for on this particular product were just more restaurant type fare and just more social commotion with just like the standard hop and bop kind of pep of just like standard music like Can't Get Enough You Baby, Come On, Come On, some of those types of tones, and like Why Can't We Be Friends, that sort of energy. But compared to songs like Waste and Then the Morning Comes and some of the more dreary type ones like the lead single off of Get the Picture from 2003, I forget that one, but it just doesn't have like that kind of more typical kind of holiday kind of just malaise and longing about it just within the tone. It just feels like more amongst like the social festivities, just more kind of family bound and pitches like that, more so than like the concept. It's not terribly much of like a flirty type album. It's not terribly much of like a flirty type album. It's just a lot more face value within the pitches as to how it kind of goes upon it. And this is kind of the tone. This album is just a lot more face value just within the tones behind it as far as that particular kind of goes. Just not this more emphasized type songs with just a little bit more intoxication about them, like like I was saying, like Waste or Then the Morning Comes, a little bit more flirty kind of spark and just kind of like dissonance about them, and just kind of it's just not very, this is not a moody album, just to be able to say that. I mean, I realize within the holiday season, but there's just some folks that pull off those vibes a little bit better within that tone, just having like something you would expect. And it's just surprising that they weren't able to nail the moody vibes on this particular album a little bit more. It's just very snappy within the tone, but a lot of these songs just don't work. So that would be songs like Don't Believe in Christmas, That You Santa Claus, Snoopy's Christmas, some of those type ones just feel like throwaways. They're just clones of like Come On, Come On, and come on Christmas, Christmas, come on, some of those types of tones, and just can't get enough you baby. But they just the emphasis behind some of these, just the bustle behind it, they're just not as thrown within the instrumentation. Just kind of feel like tacky kind of songs that just are plainer than like the pitch. And then 2000 Miles, to talk about this particular song, was just this was like the one song that kind of had a little bit more of like moodiness, just a little bit more kind of malaise about it, just that somberness kind of within it, just within that tone, and just something with a little bit more glare about it. But it just didn't really have like the tone of like particularly nailing it. I just feel like it's strange because Smash Mouth normally nails these types of songs, and it's disappointing that this was the song on the new edition compared to Removing Baggage Claim, which is pretty much like a rather standout song from Smash Mouth in recent times, especially kind of a secret song for them to kind of get. So it's just kind of the tone. I question why they removed Baggage Claim. I probably would have preferred them removed. I probably would have preferred them to remove Snoopy's Christmas or Is That You Santa Claus, one of those type ones, or Don't Believe in Christmas. But it's just kind of the tone behind it. But still be able to say 7 out of 10 is pretty relatively excellent within the fair. So we'll go ahead and talk about some of these. Probably one of the best songs out this album is the Christmas song. It's a real nice mingle. I'd have to say it's like a smoother kind of toasty mingle to kind of get here to some day after hours kind of unwind and schmooze to definitely kind of have some of that. It's real good kind of down tempo glaze kind of get here. This is the sort of song that there need to be a lot more of. This is kind of at least the closest thing to something like Then the Morning Comes. It's a little bit more flirt and mind just within the pitch. Look, I mean, most of the spice amongst this is just kind of the concept of dislike, full-fledged kind of dislike, the bustle of like the full family. I feel like most of this is kind of suited not just for Bay or something like that, but like the tone of Bay and Bay's 5 kids, and then uncle and aunt and cousins and nieces and all that particular type of just the full shebang as far as those pitches kind of happen just within the tone behind it. It says a little bit. I mean, I realize that in certain fairs, Christmas season kind of has that calibration, but it's just kind of within the tone that in terms of the concept of just something. I would have figured. I mean, compared to Smash Mouth albums, it just kind of has the pitch of just Astro Lounge and Smash Mouth 2001 just nailed some of these type vibes better in like a summer setting to be able to have some of that type fair, just having emphasized type songs to be able to get for some of that. It was just kind of the tone that the Christmas song, pretty much probably I would say the best song off this album if you're not getting the 2005 edition. Probably Baggage Claim and the Christmas song are the two best ones kind of get within that fair. It really has some good type fair. Definitely get some eggnog, some of that type of nest, get some gingerbread houses made, some of that type of just within that tone, just some good concepts. Christmas Baby, Please Come Home is a nice one. It's like an enriching kind of holiday gathering, just vintage kind of restaurant smash mouth. I would definitely feel like for the holidays, as far as those fairs going to happen. It's kind of this basic kind of out. It's not quite as bustling as like Come On Christmas, not quite as bustling as like Come On Christmas, Christmas Come On, some of those type ones, or Father Christmas, some of those type fairs, but definitely within the concept of just like a standard, just going out for like a quick dinner, something like that, December 17th, December 13th, somewhere in there as far as those pitches going to happen. Just standard music, like if TGI Fridays or Olive Garden, some of those type of places were to play Christmas music just around, it's not like they wouldn't, but just playing Christmas music around that particular time. Normally when you'd hear Smash Mouth, like why can't we be friends? This would be a song that you'd probably hear within that fashion. But it's just good ton, just standard kind of factory holiday brush of Smash Mouth. Come On Christmas, Christmas Come On is a nice one. This is just like Come On from Astro Lounge. I'd have to say just with like some Xmas flavor. I would definitely feel like here just some good restaurant drive kind of get. So this is just a little bit more standard bustle. This has a little bit more liveliness. This is what I talk about with this particular album. There are a lot of songs like this particular song on here. Like some of the songs I didn't recommend just have that particular fashion, but they're just not as distinct as this particular one. I do feel like some of this energy has that relative type of appeal, but it gets you it just gets you winded a little bit quicker within that tone. Not to say full bound like that, like it's just that tiring, but it's just kind of the concept that some of these just don't have the distinct rippage as far as those pitches kind of happen. I mean, if you are just looking for like a bunch of restaurant winter type music to kind of get with like a Smash Mouth flavor, there are plenty of songs like that, but for the most part, in terms of distinction, something that's snappy is like some Smash Mouth's best is not as full blown, but at least Come On Christmas is like one that kind of does it. Father Christmas is a nice one. It's like a bustling kind of holiday commotion kind of get here. Just Black Friday music, I would definitely feel like just between second half of November to about December 24th, 25th, as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just kind of a pushy evening and just some good Xmas makeshift to kind of get here. This one kind of goes along with Baggage Claim. It's just a little bit more lively as within the tone. Baggage Claim just has a little bit more malaise about it. It's more standard kind of factory, just moodiness and just kind of like sullenness, but Father Christmas has a little bit more bustling, like liveliness. Like I got to get some gifts. I only have a few more days to get some more gifts, and some of that commotion going to be waiting in line. Some of that type fair as far as those pitches kind of happen. Good type tone. Just do like the energy of that song. And then Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight's a nice one. It's like a bustling kind of last minute scramble and just bicker. I'd say just within those tones, it's kind of a frenetic type song. So if you do have ladies around that are argumentative pitches like that, it's just kind of within the tone of some of that just frenetic typeness, just the standard back and forth standard, just kind of tones of this like jostle and just pitches like that. Just what I'd say within that particular going. It's kind of the concept of this holiday season kind of spice as far as that particular happens with it. Just standard fare or just standard kind of holiday commotion just within that tone. I'd have to say just excellent. It's another busybody type one. This pretty much goes along with Come On, Come On. This pretty much goes along with Come On Christmas and Father Christmas, some of those type ones. But yeah, like I was saying, this is like what I mean when I say like 5 or 6 of these songs on this particular album just have a more snappy type pace just within like the holiday chaos as far as this pitch can happen. So there's a lot of these on here. And then Christmas Ain't Christmas is another highlighted one. It's like a neighborhood kind of social jazz, I would feel like here. Just some wintry kind of rock festivities, I'd have to say. Gab, eggnog, jokes, some of that type fare. Christmas Ain't Christmas would definitely be good for some of that holiday gathering type fare as far as those pitch can happen. Damn near one that you could listen to on Christmas Day. A little bit more lively, probably within the same fashion, within the same day type fare as the Christmas song, just only a little bit more energetic, I'd have to say, within the tone. Just at the beginning of the day when there's more social folks around as far as those pitch going to happen, just within the tone. Within the pitch. But yeah, basically, it's like the standard fare behind this particular album. So some excellent stuff on here. Plenty of good Christmas jostle just within the tone. I probably could have used another song like the Christmas song, something like that. Just a good mingle, something of those particular tones. Once again, I just have to emphasize the concept of how badly like the 2005 edition flattens the 2012 editions just within the fare, because I just feel like 6 out of 10 songs it's a little bit more haphazard. Just that 7th song that you get that has some quality type fare just makes it a little bit more enamoring and just has a little bit more flavor. That just has more like standard kind of encouragement, and just so it has more standard kind of encouragement, and just has a more whopping package, just like a holiday album, I'd have to say. But within the tone, so the score I'm going to give the 2005 edition, I'm going to give the 2005 edition a 7.75 out of 10. I'm going to give the 2012 edition like a 6.6.5, or either a 6.5 or 6.75. I think I'll give it like a 6.5 out of 10, just within the tone, just to be able to say I really want to emphasize like the reduction between like the 2005 to the 2012 edition, just because the 2005 edition is 2005 edition definitely has some good excellence on there, just a good type fare, just varietizes like the Christmas flavor as far as those pitch can happen. Just a lot of restaurant type music and Christmas bustle, holiday season type cheer and chaos as far as those pitch can happen. Holiday cheer and chaos as far as those pitch can happen with like some good makeshift dredge and just pitches like that, just standard typeness to kind of get an original Smash Mouth song and baggage claim, some of those type fares to be able to get just the standard bustle and just basically a holiday cheer with like a Smash Mouth flavor. Songs mainly amongst the dredge of like Come On, Come On, and Can't Get Enough You Baby with restaurant typeness, but it still works for the most part. And I'd probably say 2 or 3 of the best songs would be Baggage Claim, the Christmas song, and then probably Father Christmas. I'd have to say some of those type ones, but it's within the tone behind it. So 7.75. But yeah, the 2012 edition, there's just more than a few does on here. I just feel like it was really a disappointing type flavor for 2,000 miles. That one just didn't nail it nearly as well as it needed to. Then there's just some other ones on here that are just flatter versions of like the restaurant type fare that just had the wrong kind of energy for like the cast of what was kind of going on. It just felt a little bit more. I just feel like the mood behind that, I just was surprised that Smash Mouth just didn't have the adaptation to be able to handle like a Christmas setting better. I feel like the concept, they're definitely great in the summer, obviously, but just kind of the fare for getting some of that. I mean, I think within the holiday chaos and pandemonium, it works within a certain sense, but it just didn't really have anything emphatic. They needed more songs, something with a little bit of like the meaningfulness of like I'm a Believer, or like the second single, like something with like a little bit of the emphasis of like I'm a Believer, or Pacific Coast Party off of Smash Mouth 2001, and definitely like the malaise of songs from Astro Lounge, like Then the Morning Comes and Waits, some of those type pitches. So definitely need something like that, something a little bit more emphatic and moody within the pitch of being able to nail. But this kind of felt like a summer album in like the Christmas time, which kind of haphazardly works, but not as often as it'd like to. So it's just within the tone. So 6.5 social or 6.5 score for the 2012 edition. But in terms of the social score, that's kind of tricky. I think I'll give the social score like an 8.25 on like the 2005 edition. I have to say it has good enough type fare. The social score on like the 2012 edition probably get like a 6.5 out of 10. Also, I just would say it's just within the tone, just not as emphatic. I feel like the 2005 edition just had a lot more boisterous typeness. Just really captures, has a good fare of capturing like the Christmas energy, but still feels a little bit underhanded and short-lived as far as those pitches going to happen. Definitely feel like some of the best moments, Father Christmas, Baggage Claim, the Christmas song, some of those type fares with maybe Come On Christmas, Christmas Come On, some of that typeness, just the bustle behind it. But I just feel like the emphasis of like a knockout kind of whopping KO from the emphasis of like a whopping kind of knockout from Smash Mouth in terms of something single wise, or just like a mammoth hit that they could have packed it with, is just kind of here and there. But still is good, but it's just kind of the concept. I just feel like it's questionable as to why they just were more winded than they probably should have been. But I look after a good tone for that. So in terms of the future, like Smash Mouth has kind of been in limbo as far as those pitches gonna happen. They did drop another holiday album in 2023 called Mistletoe. Is gonna have to get to that one. Probably not. It may not pop up in this particular holiday season, but I do want to get to that one. I'd have to say, I would also say, is this kind of within the concept. Smash Mouth has not put out an actual full blown album since 2012 as far as those pitches gonna happen. Unfortunately, Steve Harwell is deceased. As far as those pitches gonna happen, there are some new stuff that's kind of going along with it. I'd have to say, but it's just within the tone pretty good project here. Just solid enough just within the pitch. I definitely, once again, I had to say the 2005 edition is like a real knockout just within the tone. Most, for the most part, almost wholesome hand over fist victory just within the tone. It's a little bit tougher to track down, but it is worth it. And this is some good holiday spice for like Smash Mouth and their typical restaurant type fare.